name's Pam Nelson, and welcome to the weekly Wake Up. The last few weeks we've been working on mobility in the feet and ankles, and I thought we'd continue with that same theme, but today's class we're going to be down on the floor, and I have some options. The first one will be using a bolster, or if you have a pillow, and then some foam blocks or cork blocks. So if we make our way down to the mat, I've put a bit of a blanket here just so it's a bit softer behind the head and neck. Coming down onto the floor, you just settle the body, feel the back expand and release, so you feel a broadness to the back body and a release of the flush from the upper back down to the hips. So you might need to, adjust a little bit till you feel centered in your mat. And we're going to now take the right foot, kind of hug it in close, and then just rotate the ankle. Try and let the hand do most of the work, so you might hold on, back of the leg, hold on to the shin, and really try and allow the hand to do most of the work and go both directions. Let's get some movement in the ankle. And then see if you can bring your fingers between each of the toes to stretch the toes. And if your feet aren't used to really spreading and doing this can take a while to get that action, just to spread and stretch the toes slowly. So don't worry if you're not able to get all the fingers today. And then use the hand to rotate the ankle, and then both directions. And then point and flex the foot with the fingers between the toes if you can. And really press when you're flexing, really press into that foot, press out through the heel, and then we'll release. And then you can, just massage the bottom of your foot a little bit along the arch. And then up the ankle, just to release your leg there. And then pause for a moment and just feel the difference, one foot to the other. And then we'll repeat that to the other side, so hugging the other leg in, and you can hold on back of the thigh or the shin, whatever feels easiest for you. And then taking your hand and trying to let the hand do the work of rotating the ankle. Just slowly, both directions. And you can do that a few times, if you'd like. And then bringing the fingers between the toes. And sometimes doing these exercises on the floor lying down is easier than maybe sitting in a chair or standing trying to catch the foot. So we'll make the circles rotations with the fingers between the toes. And then pointing and flexing. Kind of pushing there, push out through the heel. And then when you release, hopefully feel a spread through the toes. And then you can just massage the bottom of the foot. You could take both hands even. Top of the foot around the ankle, your calf, out through the leg. And then bring that foot to the floor. And then hopefully both feet feel similar, that softness to the feet. And then from here we're going to take a bolster or that pillow. Okay. We'll start first by bringing the thighs close to the chest, bringing the bolster on top of the shins. Or if you're working, any knee issues and it feels better for you, you can bring the bolster behind the back of the knees. Open up the back of the knees. And just pause here for a few breaths. Get that softness in the abdomen, in the diaphragm. And feel again the back, the upper neck and shoulder area release. From here you can point and flex the toes. You might make circles with the ankles. And alternate. So what we're going to be doing now is some balancing work, and I'm going to now bring the bolster onto the tops of the feet. Okay. So then you're trying to bring the feet parallel, and not just the feet parallel, but the thighs. thighs. Sometimes we, have the feet turning out, the knees turning out, but as you begin to straighten the legs, can you rotate the thighs from the back in? Try to keep the bolster parallel to the ceiling as you straighten the legs. Bringing the heels more or less over the sitting bones and trying to bring the feet into a shape like you would be when you're standing. Okay, with the bolster, you can almost have the toes a little bit higher, but we want to, more flex the feet a little bit, similar to as if you were standing. Now, if you're quite tight in the back of the hamstrings, I know you might need to have a little bit of a bend in the knees. You might feel it pulling in that hamstring area. So another option you could do is raise your hips up a little bit higher. You could bring a folded blanket under your hips. And that sometimes just helps to get a little bit more length to the legs. It releases the hamstring a little bit. Otherwise, bend the knees a little here. So we're going to try to straighten, really straighten, engage your quadriceps. Right? Feel that kneecap kind of pull towards the top of the thigh, that quadricep muscle move towards the top of the thigh, creating a lot of space here between the abdomen and the thighs. And then we'll slowly see if we can bend the knees a little bit. And as you bend the knees, try and keep the shin bones perpendicular to the floor. So we're straighten and bend. Really try to keep the weight even on both feet of the bolster. And then we'll extend the legs. See if you can bring the bolster overhead and back. And of course you can have your arms out if you're not sure if the bolster is going to fall on you or not. That's why it's good working with a pillow, something soft. So here you have to really adjust your feet and ankles to that movement. And then as we come back to center, keeping the feet parallel, see if you can, almost twist, and that's got to come from a little bit lower down, right in the pelvis. The legs stay straight, parallel, and we're just kind of twisting here a little bit. And then see how far you can point and flex the feet. And of course, there's many other, things you could play with this bolster on the feet. But you can start there. And then keeping the abdomen soft, we can bend the knees and catch your bolster in your hands. Slowly bring the feet back down to the floor. And maybe even extend the legs for a few breaths. So let the legs release. You might feel more open in the bottoms of your feet, sensation in the feet and ankles. And as we hold the bolster, you can make even some circles here. So it's, some work for our upper body. And rotate the shoulders both directions. Keeping the palms spread, so the fingers spread, palms open. We could bend and straighten the arms. You were doing a push-up. So it can help with movement, mobility in our wrists without a lot of weight bearing. And then even here you could, extend up. So again, there's lots of play here, and you can really even begin to notice the difference, one wrist to the other. And you could kind of go back and forth. And then even bring the bolster overhead and come back up. And then we'll bend the knees. You can let the bolster come just to the abdomen for a moment. So you could repeat that play with the bolster on your feet, or you could, progress to bringing one block onto each foot with these chip foam blocks. Okay? So you might have two smaller pillows. The chip foam blocks are flat. They're quite light though, so actually being quite light, it makes it a little bit harder, but we'll bring the blocks onto the feet. Let's see how well I do here as we extend the legs up. So now that we have one on each foot, you know, the feet, of course, are now working more independently when you had the bolster. Trying to balance that block. And then we'll repeat. So try to straighten the legs, engage the quadriceps, bring the feet more flat, so parallel to the ceiling. And then we can try to bend the knees. You might want to bring your hands up just in case. We'll bend and straighten the legs. Try to keep the thighs parallel, the feet running parallel to each other as much as you can. And then we can see how far we can bring the heels behind the sitting bones and in front. So it also works your core when you're, you know, working with the legs here. As you bring the legs behind, you have to engage the core, the hamstrings, quadriceps. And then we'll see if we can alternate. Okay, so if I bring one forward, one back. And make it, you know, really as challenging as you'd like with some of these movements. And then as we come back, you could even make, you know, circles with the legs. I'm keeping mine pretty small so that the blocks don't fall, but you can kind of play around with that mobility in your ankles and then go the opposite direction. I'll just do a few in the opposite direction, and then you could have them, you know, alternating directions. So that's another fun play with the blocks. I'll bend the knees, and here I'm going to try and clap the blocks together and bring them down into like Baddha Konasana. That bound ankle pose. We'll stay here a few breaths. If I can hold the blocks between the feet. And as we bring the feet together and bring the blocks up, and then we could do that similar play with the blocks on the hands. Okay. So I can bring the blocks into the palms of the hands. See if I can get this here. Sometimes it helps to have a helper. Okay, and then we'll come up. And you can do that similar kind of play, bringing the arms overhead and back, just for the mobility in your wrists. A little bit of load on the shoulders. Of course, it's not much, but these leg blocks can make those circles. And you could go out a little bit wider maybe and even start to turn the palms as you make your circles. And you could do all sorts of things here. And you could even, you know, come up and down similar to a bench press or those push-up kind of exercises. And you can, again, start to load the wrists, get the shape, correct alignment. And then we'll bring the blocks together and put those down. The last one is to use these cork blocks. Okay. So they're a little bit heavier, and the weight can sometimes feel nice, but they're also smaller, and of course a little bit more dangerous if they fall to your face. So you may want to, you know, take your time building up to the cork or wooden blocks. So if we do this last one, so the surface area is becoming smaller for your feet as we progress. So same actions we can do, keeping the legs straight, running parallel, trying to balance the block so that the blocks are parallel to the ceiling. With a little bit more load, you can feel the thigh bone maybe move down into the hip socket a little bit more. And even holding here, you could do some exercise of bringing the arms up overhead and back. So So that Urdhva Prasarta Padasana at 90 degrees, it is doing some work with the arms. And then of course we can bend the knees. Again, you might want to have your hands out just in case the blocks fall. We could do the circles. Just watching those blocks don't fall on your face. So you can see I have one foot quite different than the other in terms of that balance. So I'm going to show just with one leg, which is another option. I was going to get to this option, but I might as well show it now. You can do one, leg at a time, working through. So you can then concentrate more one leg at a time, those circles, going back and forth. How you have to, just slightly change the position of your foot. Trying to balance it on the inner outer heel, big and little toe mound. Working the arches. And then you could repeat the same to the other leg. So if you were to do that one leg at a time. So from here though, we'll just release down, kind of work the feet on the mat, heel to toe. You can try to make a outer outline of your feet one direction and then the other. And then just sliding the legs out. Roll the ankles a few times, one way and then the other. And here, try and catch the heels on your mat because you'll want that connection. We catch the heels and then you can really press the heel down so it's not the heel just sliding, it's kind of kept hooking so that you move the whole body. And if you get the head naturally making this yes, you can feel that it's right from the feet, that connection up. That's what's moving my head. And it can be really soothing for the nervous system. And then as we release, let the arms and legs go. And you can stay in this Shavasana another 3 to 5 minutes as you'd like. And then bend the knees and elbows when you're ready. But I will leave you here for today. So I hope you had some fun playing with those blocks, bolsters. Another exercise is good for the feet, ankles, hips. Thank you so much.